Are you looking to move to Seaside, New Jersey? Well, stick around because I got just a video for you. Today we're going to be taking a map tour of Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, and we're going to go over everything that you need to know regarding the location, commute to work, school systems, and a few others. But before we get started, if it's your first time to the channel, my name is Steve McCutcheon, and I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway. On the Live in Central New Jersey channel, we cover everything related to the Central Jersey real estate market. So if you'll be the first one to know what's going on in either Monmouth or Ocean County real estate, feel free to click the bell, hit the subscribe button. Let's get the video started. Alrighty, everyone. So this is going to be where the rest of the video is going to be filmed. Hop on the laptop on Zoom meeting. We're going to screen share and just go through everything. So the first thing we want to cover is going to be the location. We're zoomed out here. You can see that you're going to have Seaside Heights to the north and Seaside Park to the south. Some people may not realize when you're talking about Seaside, it's actually broken down into two different municipalities. So I'll even draw on the map for you real quick. Heights and then Park's down here. Heights is the one you're going to see if you ever watch the Jersey Shore, the TV show, with the boardwalk, the games, the rides, and obviously the fun antics that they had on the show. That was filmed in Seaside Heights, not Seaside Park. So Seaside Park's a little bit going to be more residential. Still, obviously, with a beach town, but Seaside Heights is going to be that typical, like, again, music rides, amusement park rides, and that kind of thing. So Seaside Heights, think Jersey Shore TV show. Obviously, not exactly like that, but just to kind of get a little bit more familiarity to it. Size-wise, just kind of the population in general, Seaside Heights is going to have roughly about 2,500 residents, whereas Seaside Park is only going to have about 1,500 residents. That's going to be year-round. A big difference between a lot of townships they're going to see in general between Ocean County, maybe Seaside Heights, or just a beach town in general. Just look at the lot size here, right? A lot of these homes, they're going to be pretty heavily on top of each other, and this is going to be pretty common. The tourist attractions or just tourism in general for New Jersey is going to be a large part of our economy, and the peak months from Memorial Day up until Labor Day, a heavy population of people come to the area. I think it's something like the 100 million or maybe even 200 million range now at this point, between that time frame. Not just Seaside Heights or Seaside Park. That's all the beach towns that we have here in Jersey. We have about 130 miles of coastline on the east coast of New Jersey, and that's going to be a lot of different beach towns in general, and then people go into those areas. So like Seaside Heights is a big one, Point Pleasant, Belmar, Asbury Park. If you go further south, you're going to have Cape May, LBI, Long Beach Island. So those are going to be some like more notable ones, but a lot of different towns have them just depending on the size and the attraction or the attraction worthiness, I guess, of some of them too. So, yeah, so Seaside Heights is going to have 2,500 residents. The land, we'll get into the housing a little bit, but you'll even see under some of the photos that you're going to be stacked on top of you a little bit. So not as many people typically live here year round. You're going to have a lot of rentals, either annual ones, winter rentals, which is like the off season from the opposite side of Labor Day to Memorial Day weekend. So about 8 or 9 month leases. And then obviously during the summer months, you'll have a week, a month, or even the entire summer people rent out a house for just to kind of hang out, enjoy the nice summer. Because obviously that's pretty much the three nicest months that we have here in New Jersey. So although, be honest with you, July and August can get pretty hot. So that's the location of just Seaside Heights, Seaside Park. If we zoom out a little bit, you'll notice that's going to be the east of Toms River. So a lot of people, so this is Toms River over here. Toms River is also much larger, right? It's going to cover quite a bit of space up there. Whoops. Those are my notes. So enjoy that. And then we're going to have the Garden State Parkway is going to be one of the major roadways to get down into Seaside Heights. But obviously it doesn't go through there. So you're going to have to cross Route 37 over to here, and that's going to hop into there. The other major roadway that we have that goes through Seaside Heights into Seaside Park is going to be Route 35. That's going to be down here. Or over there, I guess. And Route 35 extends very far north. It goes all the way up into like the northern part of Monmouth County. So this roadway brings you all the way down to Island Beach State Park all the way over here. So it goes from there all the way up north, and it brings you to most of the different beach towns that we have in Monmouth and Ocean County for the most part, at least the ones that are going to be on the east coast over there. So, and if you want to zoom out a little farther, just kind of give an idea of where it's located in New Jersey. It's on the pin right there. Philadelphia is going to be all the way out here to the west in PA. And then you got New York City up here, Manhattan, got the Bronx and Brooklyn over here, Staten Island, just a couple different things. In terms of if you want to go on vacation, maybe like hop into an airport. We just mentioned Philadelphia. There's going to be an airport over there. So you're about an hour and a half from that. Atlantic City is also going to have an airport somewhere down over here. And then you're also going to have one up in Newark. So Atlantic City will probably be the closest, I would say. But it's going to be much smaller, so the odds are you want to either use Newark or Philadelphia if you're going, and maybe if you're definitely doing international, you have to go there. But if you just want more flight options, definitely hop into one of those. So that's pretty much the majority of the location stuff that we typically cover here. And then if I didn't mention already, but we have the Beach and Boardwalk. That's obviously going to be the pretty much number one attraction for Seaside, but we'll hop into that when we get into the entertainment section. So next up is going to be your commute to work. A lot of people that typically live in New Jersey they will work in New York City, Philadelphia, two major large hubs, maybe even just the northern part of New Jersey, in that Jersey City, Hoboken area, Newark, something along that, some type of city. The reason being, money's going to be better over there. But if you want more land, nicer home, better school districts, you'll live in New Jersey and then work in those other cities, so you make more money, but then you have an overall better quality of life. Makes sense for a lot of people, but what happens with that is you have to commute. So if you want to get into New York City or Philadelphia, it is going to be a little bit time consuming living in Seaside Heights. And as you can see, it might not be the best option for one to do either one of those. So just scroll back out here, Seaside Heights. So let's type into New York City. I'm making this a little bit in the nighttime, so it's going to be not the most accurate right here. But apparently, if you had no traffic right now, hour and a half from Seaside Heights into New York City, and I would say that's relatively pretty accurate. I live in the northern part of Brick. It would probably take me about an hour, hour 15. So you add that a little bit of extra time into there. But let's say you are going at typical rush hour times. So more cars on the road, potential bad weather, and also possibility of accidents, right? A lot of cars on the road. And let's be honest, some people really suck at driving sometimes. So um, it went from an hour and a half to from with no traffic, right? Different time frame to during rush hour, hour and a half is going to be the minimum time frame, and it goes up to about almost 2.5 hours, give or take. So the easiest route, in my opinion, they have it highlighted already, but just taking the Garden State Parkway all the way up. Once you hit this, it'll turn to I-95 or New Jersey Turnpike. That's going to be the other major toll road that we have here. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but the Garden State Parkway would be one of the major toll roads that we have that runs along the East Coast here, as you can see. And then you have the New Jersey Turnpike is going to be on the West Coast. But they do intersect as you get closer up to here. And most people typically take the Turnpike in, or you can stick to the Parkway, go up this way. Pick a bridge. I'd honestly just type in Waze and just see what day, less traffic, and just hop on and just go that route. So if that's possible for you and it makes sense to obviously the location of your work. But those are the two main ways you can get into New York City. This one goes through Staten Island. I wouldn't really necessarily recommend that. Typically, it's a little more traffic congested and it's a little bit more annoying to get through that way, but that's also an option as well. So I would say realistically, 2 hours is probably your shortest time frame from getting from Seaside Heights into New York City. That's accounting for traffic and everything else. More likely than not, you're still probably looking close to that 2.5 hour mark. I would say is a pretty safe estimate. Just the sheer amount of cars and volume. Ironically, you can kind of see with the traffic congestion, like where it's at. It's all right here. If New York City just happened to be a little bit lower, like right there, you probably cut half your commute time out and no problem whatsoever. So once you hit that Newark Airport area, which is again somewhere right in this area, that's once the traffic picks up. Because there's only so many bridges that can get you into New York City, pretty much, right? So unfortunately, just the way it is. If it's up to my opinion, I'd probably want to be working a hybrid model. I don't know if I want to do a 2 to 2.5 hour commute each way, right? You're adding 4 to 5 hours of your workday onto an 8 hour workday or whatever, and a typical shift, and you're looking at 12 to 13 hours of a total day. Really can't do much otherwise than that. So I don't know if I'd want to do that 5 days a week. If it was to make it 2 days a week, a little bit more manageable and probably more realistic than anything else. So, and then let's get into Philadelphia. Did I hit it? No, I did not hit it. That'll help the problem. So looking at Philadelphia, it's going to be a different route because obviously we're going out west. So you're going to take Route 37 until you hit Route 70, and that's probably going to be your fastest option in general. You can go a little farther up north once you get off instead of going to Route 70, taking 195 to I-95, which is New Jersey Turnpike, and going in that way. While Route 70 is probably shorter distance-wise, it definitely is actually. I didn't realize that. There you go. 67 miles to about 81 miles. The difference is basically the speed of the roadway. So Route 70 is going to be a much slower roadway than I-95 and New Jersey Turnpike. I-95 and Turnpike, you'll be on 65, 80, anywhere in that range. Some people drive faster than that. Kind of nuts to me, but to each their own on that as well. Route 70 you just have to go a lot slower, unfortunately. So it's going to be a little bit more congested going through Toms River and some other townships over there. So it's the same time frame, hour and a half up to 2.5 hours. It takes me in Northern Brick to get to the Philadelphia airport about an hour, hour 15. So I would say it's actually a pretty realistic time frame. It's just a matter of how much traffic you're going to hit that morning. So I would say you're closer to the 2 hour mark here than more, while as New York City, you're closer to the 2.5 hour mark. Unfortunately for Philadelphia, there is not going to be any public transportations that you can take out that way. There's not going to be a train that goes east to west over here. The nearest train station is going to go up in North Point Pleasant area, but that goes up to New York City and goes that route. So a lot more train stations for NJ trains are going to be in the northern part. The only one that's really in the southern part is going to be down here in AC. So obviously you wouldn't drive down there to then go over into Philadelphia. That just wouldn't make any sense. So same thing with the bus. I think there is one that's going to be in Toms River, but to get into PA, It goes in so many different stops and out of the way, and I think it takes like 3 hours. So driving yourself is going to be your only option there. I did forget to mention public transportation for New York City. While it is possible, the train, the nearest station, the last one's going to be Bayhead over here, right below Point Pleasant, and that takes you about 2 hours and 15 minutes, give or take. So you could technically do that, right, if you didn't want to commute yourself and drive all that way. But time frame wise, driving from Seaside Heights into Bayhead, parking your car, taking the train up, it's going to be about the same time frame as drive yourself. So realistically, any way you look at it, you're gonna be looking at that same time frame. Bus wise, you can hop on one over in Tom's River over here. They have plenty of different parking rides, especially on the Garden State Parkway. A parking ride is just driving your car over to this parking lot. You pay for a monthly pass, whatever the case is, maybe a daily one, and you'll leave your car there. Bus will take you up to the city, take you back from the city, pick up your car, go home. So again, that would be about roughly the same time frame, if not maybe even a little longer, with some extra stops along the way. So um, it'd probably be your best interest just to commute yourself and drive yourself. But I know some people like myself would probably get tired of that every day, and I wouldn't want to do that. So in general, I would say for living in Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, your best option, I'd be finding work in New Jersey, whether you're working for the government, real estate agent like myself in sales, you can work remote, something along those lines, just to make your job or just your life that much simpler, where you're not commuting and just those 12-hour days can, I'm sure, have to wear on people pretty heavily. So um, cover the location and commute to work. Next thing you want to do if you're looking to raise a family, school systems are pretty much usually people's next best bet of what they want to look into. So the way Seaside Heights is going to work is they have their own school system from K through 12, or sorry, K through 6. Seaside Park is actually going to be distributed over to the Toms River schools already. They did have a school district way back when. I said as if it's not that long ago, but about like 15 years ago, give or take. I think it was like 808 or maybe 2010. They got rid of it, something along those lines, and they got distributed to Toms River. Seaside Heights, sorry, Seaside Heights actually just voted on that this past April. It doesn't look that it got approved because when I went on their website, their township website, it came back that they were still going to the elementary school in Seaside, unfortunately. So the school system here, have Boyd Elementary School. They have it ranked as a C minus. This is I'm using niche.com. You can use greatschools.com, whichever one floats your boat and you'd like to get your information from. But for the school, as you can see, it's a tinier one. This has that 200 students, and that's going to be grades K through 6, 8 to 1 student teacher ratio. So on the much smaller side for those grades compared to maybe like a big regional school. Give you an idea of where it's located, just scroll down for you. On the map, it's going to be the more northwestern part of Seaside Heights. So that's pretty much about it with that. Afterwards, they'll go to Central Regional for get grades 7th through 12th. So from 7th, 8th grade, and then on to high school for 9 through 12 as well. Give you an idea here. Apparently, there's a lot of centrals. There we go. So Central Regional, they're actually pulling from a bunch of different towns. It's going to be located in Bayville, but it's also going to pull kids in from Berkeley, Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, Ocean Gate, and even Island Heights. So when you have those smaller beach towns and smaller towns in general, it makes more economical sense for them to combine their resources and then put it into one regional school rather than each having their individual and own school. Because obviously, just like I mentioned with Seaside Park, they took their elementary school and they distributed it over to the Toms River because it wasn't affordable anymore. So with Central Regional, you have rated a B minus according to niche.com. Just some kind of things. Schools or sports have always been a pretty big one with them, so that's always usually in the A range. Diversity is another big one, and then kind of just go throughout the rest of the report card there if you'd like. With the school, you about have 1,600 students, 13 to 1 student teacher ratio, and like I said, with sports, they're in like top half with that, and a pretty diverse school as well, right, sitting right in the middle. Best public high school teachers in New Jersey. I guess that's in the 75% range or whatever. So overall, not a terrible school, but also not like one of the best ones here in New Jersey that we have. New Jersey, if you're unaware, has a very good public school districts in general. So typically most websites that you find or ratings or charts, as a state, we rank in usually second, third, or fourth on any of them on those lists. So with Ocean County, the school systems get a little, I don't want to say worse in general. They're still pretty good in comparison to the rest of the country, but I guess for like New Jersey standards, they're not as good. Let's just take like Monmouth County, for example. You're going to have higher priced homes, higher property taxes. So that also means more funding to schools because most of the time, at least 50% of your property taxes, at least 50, most times it's probably closer to 75 or more, go towards the public school district or public school districts in your town, in your area, right? So when Ocean County has lower prices, lower property taxes. There's obviously going to be less funding available than compared to like Monmouth County or a lot of like northern New Jersey towns in general too. So, again, still going to rank very highly across the state, but just not necessarily as good for some other parts of like just New Jersey, Monmouth County, just being the other county that we cover here on this channel. So that's just off the top of my head. But yeah, so if your child goes to Seaside Park or you live in Seaside Park, they'll go to Tom's River for K through 6, and then afterwards relocate or relocated over to Central Regional. For Seaside Heights, they'll go to Boyd Elementary, and then afterwards go to Central Regional. That's kind of the gist of the school system. Next up, we're going to check into some housing. And these are going to be stats off of directly off our MLS. So the most up-to-date stuff that you can pretty much have for our area. Absorption rate is the first thing I like to cover. That's going to be right here. And right now we're sitting at about 7.8 months of inventory. Kind of a big difference, right? So the way it works is less than 6 months is going to be a seller's market. 6 months exactly will be neutral. Greater than 6 months will be a buyer's market. That's my B. Hopefully that works out. So yeah, we're at 7.8 months, which is like unheard of here in New Jersey for inventory. Most towns right now are like 3 months or below, and they're pretty heavy sellers market. So it's ironic to kind of see that for Seaside Heights. A couple different things that it could be. One, it's a beach town, Jersey Shore town. So sometimes that can play heavily on just the kind of market it's in. It's going to be a little bit more different. Sometimes it could be the price points. Sometimes it's just the pure seasonality of the place, right? There's not going to be as many people maybe looking for a beach home versus someone that wants to be a little bit more inland, right? Again, better school systems or whatever the case might be. So, but almost close to 8 months worth of inventory, again, is like unheard of. You can see on this chart alone, look at this, almost basically a straight up arrow for a little while. That's kind of nuts. So has happened over the past year. There's just not as many people looking in the Seaside Heights area versus some other townships here in New Jersey. Next up are going to be the price points. Actually, again, kind of following the trend. 9% price decrease from 2023 to 2024. So right now, the median sales price for Seaside Heights is $557,500. I like to use the median over the average. They're relatively, not identical, but they're within about 50, 60,000 of each other. The reason I use median, pretty simply put, is sometimes averages can get skewed one way or the other, right? If you have a couple low price homes that are bringing the average down, or a couple high price homes that are just skyrocketing it up, right? It can go either way. Median just takes the middle price point of the closest two homes, or the middle, the average of like the two middle homes, I guess, two middle home sales. So if there's 100 sales, they use like the 50th and 51st home, and they average them together, and that's how they get that number. That's the best way to put that. Um, I just think that's more of an accurate representation kind of than the averages. So that's what I go off of. In terms of sales, the number of sales were down here too. So prices were down 9%, sales are down 13.5%, right? So we had 70 so far this year, 81 back in 2023, up to this point year to date. So we are behind in Seaside Heights, and something's going on there that people are not necessarily wanting to move to the area as much or as frequent as they once were. But on the other flip side of things, they're in a buyer's market. So what does that mean for you if you're looking to actually buy in this area? Well, first thing is you have more power in negotiations, meaning you typically, like right now, let's take our current market environment. Majority of townships, as we'll get to Seaside Park in a second, are in a pretty heavy seller's market or just in a seller's market in general. That means they have the power of certain negotiations, better chance of multiple offers. You have to increase your price point on that, like go over asking. You'll have to maybe waive some type of contingencies on that or whatever the case is. The flip side of things is said for when you're in a buyer's market. Maybe you can negotiate the price a little bit. The seller throws in some type of concession towards you and a couple other different things throughout the transaction. So that could be a positive for most people if you want an easier way to get into a home. Maybe look into Seaside Heights if you want to live in the Ocean County area. So big difference here. And then you go into Seaside Park, kind of the flip side of things. And of course, my page locked me out of it. So I have to go into this real quick. South. There we go. Seaside Park. Alrighty. Sorry about that. You get a little parched when you're speaking for this long. So absorption rate. We had what, 7.8 months, right, for Seaside Heights. This is sitting at below 5. I'd probably say it's 4.7, 4.8, right? Come up. There we go. 4.86 months worth of inventory. So that is less than the 6 months that we just mentioned of making a seller's market. So it's currently in a seller's market for Seaside Park, which is the opposite of Seaside Heights being in a buyer's market. Now, being that it's closer to 6, it gets more neutral in negotiations. It's not going to be as hot. But if it gets into that 3 month, 2 month, even believe it or not, 1 month's worth of inventory, those townships, obviously not the ones that we're talking about today, but those can be extremely difficult to get into and win a multiple offers bid. Price point. This is also going to be the big thing that's different from Seaside Park to Seaside Heights. Seaside Heights, or Seaside Park, I'm sorry, basically $1 million, 999. That's almost not, it's not double, but it's pretty close to double. I think 1.1 would be double, but we're not far off from that. Big price increase though from 2023 year to date. That's 775. That's a 29% just under. Incredible. And then for homes sold, again, we're also up here. 39 homes sold compared to 31. But again, that's a year to date number, right? So that's not a lot of home sales going on in Seaside Park in general. 26% increase, but again, not like a huge number. So the majority of sales that we see when we get into the map in a little bit are going to be more in Seaside Heights than they are in Seaside Park. Now, could that be price point wise? Yeah, probably. I would say, right, most people, just across the US in general, especially the way the economy's been, really can't afford $1 million home. The payment on that plus the interest rate environment that we're currently in, they're sitting at just around 7. I think they're just below that now, but it's hovering in that 7% range. So putting like a mortgage on a house like this, not gonna be easy for most people. That payment's gonna be pretty high. So that's why Seaside Park also, again, it's not as big. It's only got 1,500 residents compared to Seaside Heights having 25 year round. But it would be a little bit more owner occupied in Seaside Park than is going to be in Seaside Heights. More people will live there year round than living near the beach, boardwalk, and all that kind of stuff. So that just kind of gives you an idea of where we're at statistic wise for both of these townships. Going back into it, if you want to just check out some homes in general, we break it down to 3 different categories on our MLS. So we're going to have adult communities, condos, townhomes, and single families. So I'll highlight all 3 of them for you. Spoiler alert, just like many other beach towns, I'm not aware of any adult communities in our area. That's for a whole MLS. I should probably type in Seaside. That'd be better. All right. So 211 active, coming soon, pending, or closed sales. Majority of them are going to be obviously on the closed side. But when we break it down to adult communities, we get a 0. It's common with beach towns, guys, not to have an adult community in there necessarily. Like we saw before, we're just like the space of the homes in between them, and being such a large part of our economy, tourism being huge, you want to get as many people flooded to these areas as possible. So it's not worth gating off a certain section for just a different, I guess, population in general. And there's not going to be many adult communities in these beach towns. So no 55 pluses for this area. Condos and townhomes will come up next. Now that number we saw before is going to be 90. I would say about 40%, right? Give or take, just numbers wise off the top of my head. Majority of them, though, as you can see, they're going to be located more in the Seaside Heights section rather than the Seaside Park. Price point wise, just to give you an idea. The smaller studios and 1 bedrooms, you're probably looking at about 250. Yeah, this comes up at 235, 250, 260, 300, kind of next jump up. But you can also check the size of them, right? Gonna be more on the smaller side, so under like 600 square feet. What I would say with those types of homes or those types of areas, if you're looking to obviously check with the association before to see if you can rent them out, Airbnb them or whatnot. But or if you just want to use it for a second home, obviously $300,000 at the beach, even if it's just like a smaller 2-bed condo, might be all you need, right? If it's just for a weekend getaway or you want to hang out there every so often and just go down for the summer, maybe bring the kids with you. They get 1 bedroom, you get the other, whatever the case is. But it's going to be much more on the affordable side than paying $1 million for a beachfront property, right? So if you want to live by the beach on the cheaper side, enjoy the area, there are some possibilities, right, in the smaller condos. And that's going to bring you into, as you get obviously go up in price, they're going to get a little bit bigger, build 2 beds. But they'll mostly top out around that 600-700 mark. They're really not going to find too many more that are going to be higher than that, unless you get into like this massive like 3-bed one over here. That's pretty much about it. You do have some that get into the $1 million range, but that's pretty rare. You can see the highest price one that sold just over $1 million last year, but right after that, a couple homes down, you're already back into that 600 range. So I would say the bulk of the sales you're going to be looking for condos in Seaside Heights, Seaside Park. That's going to be between about $300,000 and $600,000. So very affordable for most people looking to live to the area, or if you just want a second home. Then if we break it down to single families, there we go. Obviously, still the majority are going to be in the Seaside Heights area as we zoom out, right? Probably the bulk of them still, but also at the same time, Seaside Park shows up a lot more there too. So price point wise, we already mentioned Seaside Heights or Seaside Park's gonna be more expensive. Just how much more expensive? We'll check it out. If you scroll down and go to our most expensive sales, most expensive actives, Seaside Park, Seaside Park, Seaside Park, they're all pretty much there. Heights got one in there. So pretty much of the top 10, looks like maybe 15 closer to 20 now. Say probably like close top 20, either active or closed sales are going to be in the Seaside Park section versus Seaside Heights being on the lesser side. So, and I mean, look at this home too, right? $4 million, 4.25. Pretty nice. I mean, I'd have no problem living there personally. Looks pretty good to me. And you're close to the water, right? So you're not going to be directly on top of like the beach and boardwalk area, but as you zoom out here, I think on the maps, it's probably going to be right on the water too. Yeah. So where that's located, that's beachfront, ironically, actually. So that one's going to have a water view, waterfront. Obviously, your price points are going to go up higher when you have both of those items in there versus if you're a little bit farther inland over here, just even a few more houses over. That's 1.4 million. Obviously, much smaller, might not be as nice inside, but you're talking a pretty drastic thing from or price range from going from looking at the water directly out your balcony versus being a little bit farther inland. So, but that's Seaside Park for you. Your price points, like we said, going to be much higher than going to be in Seaside Heights. With that being said, actually, I'm just going to break it down just to Seaside Heights for you, make our lives a little bit easier here. So that's going to be 70 of that like 121 or 120 number that we said before. So again, majority of sales, Seaside Heights. Highest price point we have here, 2.2 million. We saw that right before. But honestly, that's gonna be tough to see because most of them we're already descending. Right. The highest closed sales we had last year in Seaside Heights, 1.26, 1.1, 1.025. So really majority of sales here are going to be under that $1 million range. They'll have obviously some outliers depending on where they're located again, waterfront, water view properties, but nothing crazy there. If we go back towards the bottom tier of the price points, you're looking at 400,000 maybe for like a smaller cottage, something that needs work, maybe even has to be raised. So always double check that with some of these beach towns, depending on where they're located. If you're closer to the water, sometimes if you're buying a house, it might be, I don't know, if condemned or whatever the case is, but you might have to raise it in order to be able to live there. And that's obviously a lot more money and construction that has to go into possibly being able to move into that. So, but let's say you have something that's going to be move-in ready. These photos look pretty nice for this home right here. 2 bed, 1.5 bath, but a whopping 620 square feet, right? So your price per square foot is obviously going to be much higher here than some other parts of New Jersey, Ocean County, Monmouth County in general. So again, typical with the common beach town, right? Smaller house, fit as many as you can in the area, but you're gonna still gonna have to pay a little bit more for that, right? So if you found 620 or 620 square feet farther inland, I'm not saying it's half the price because obviously it's New Jersey and being expensive, but probably pretty close to that. So just kind of give you an idea. If we look into that home, you're probably going to see living room, kitchen, probably together or pretty close. Living room, kitchen just on the other side. Yeah. So one little hallway, living room, kitchen, and then you're gonna have the 2 bedrooms and baths. That's really realistically about it. Nothing too crazy with that home. But again, for $440,000, you can go live on the beach or have that second home. This backyard is actually kind of a decent size. So the lots here too, a lot of the time you're probably looking at 50 by 100, or if you're lucky enough to have a bigger home, have a double lot. But I don't know if you can park back here. It doesn't look like there's gonna be a driveway. Yeah, I don't see a driveway, but that's one big thing. If you are buying a house down here, if you do find one that's going to have a driveway, having off-street parking is huge, whether you are renting the place out in the summer or if you want to live there in general. Obviously, with it being an overpopulated place during the Labor Day, or sorry, Memorial Day to Labor Day time frame, the summer, street parking can get annoying. Some of the places also are only going to allow you to park on one side of the road as they clean the other, so you have to watch out for tickets. So alternate or alternate side parking every now and then, but being able to find a place to driveway, absolutely huge. So as you scroll through, I'll go back out here. Majority of the sales, I would say, are going to be in between about 500 to like 800 range. Yeah, pretty much. And that's going to vary for all different homes, right? We just saw a cottage or like a smaller cape or whatever the case was for $450,000. Now you're looking at like a 3 level over here, $832,000, but 3 beds, 3.5 baths. Or if we go scroll down to this one, 4 beds, 3 baths, and it has 2,200 square feet. But you have to deal with multiple levels at the same time. So again, neither one of them really have a driveway either, but just kind of a difference of what you're looking at. So I prefer, for some reason, I love this kind of model home just in general, right? Something that's going to be lifted because obviously we're at a beach. There's always potential for flooding there, big storms coming in. Knock on wood, haven't had a hurricane here in about 12, 14 years, but it's always a possibility of one shooting up the coast. You never know. and just having a home that's going to be already 7, 8 feet off the ground, never a bad thing. Obviously, if you are handicap accessible or getting older up in age, it can be a little bit more difficult to live in a beach. But um, in my opinion, I would try to always get a home that's going to be raised. I think it's just a smarter financial decision in the long run in general for living down the shore. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at price point wise. Seaside Park, more expensive than Seaside Heights. Seaside Heights, your condos and townhomes, you can get in there for about 250 in the low end, up to 600 typically. And then for single families, you're looking at in the $1 million range, pretty much all over the place for Seaside Park. And then for Seaside Heights, anywhere between about 400 up into about 800, your typical price range. So that'll pretty much do it for the housing options. One of the last things I also want to cover just going to be your entertainment and shopping, dining, like options just in the area. So obviously, if you're going to be living there, that's going to be quite important for you as well. So on the shopping side of things, if you remember, we talked about the Jersey Shore TV show being filmed here in Seaside Heights. So what do they have? They have the boardwalk. Shopping wise, what does that mean? They worked at a t-shirt shop, right? So on the boardwalk, you're going to have plenty of different locations to go up and down for some different shopping options, right? That's possible. You're going to have that there. If you want food store, I'm sorry, my touch screen is going all over the place right here. Food store, I think it's technically right outside of Seaside Heights. It might be an Orly or Lavalette, but you're gonna have the Acme. Yeah, it's gonna be an Orly. That's gonna be like your main one in the area that you go to. So you have that. All the shops I just mentioned are gonna be along the boardwalk, but you're also already a short drive in the Toms River, right? So if you just go back towards Route 37 and go out west this way, there's gonna be plenty of different shopping plazas up and down 37 for you. I don't know what we got here. Oh, got a Wawa. So that's there. Rent a car, got big lots. You have the Toms River Mall, they call it, but it's just a couple different um, like storefronts and stuff. Nothing crazy there. The biggest one, though, if you want to go to, that's going to be the Ocean County Mall, located over on Hooper Ave. So I'll pin that real quick so we have it. But realistically, not that far from Seaside Heights either, guys, right? So if you're living here, I would say this is probably about a 15-minute drive down, another 10 minutes up maybe at the most. So you're probably about 20 minutes away from having a mall that's going to have I don't know, 100 plus specialty stores over there, or anything ranging from you can see Forever 21 there. They'll have some athletic departments, different department stores there, a couple different restaurants. So shopping wise, you're going to be covered. You're going to be able to find whatever you need living in Seaside Heights. Also, just be aware sometimes things are going to be more expensive. Obviously, on the beach, it's going to be harder for different businesses to get their goods and services over this way. So obviously, you may have a little bit more inflated prices at the food store or whatever the case is. Obviously, t-shirts probably going to be a lot more expensive than if you just bought them offline on Amazon or wherever you prefer to shop. I don't know, but so just be aware that goods and services typically a little bit more expensive on a beach town. When it comes to restaurants, I'll just honestly perfect. They have a tab for it like that. Again, same thing. A lot of them are going to be along the shore over here. Jimmo's Bar and Grill, I've heard good things about it. I haven't been there. The Ocean View restaurant's pretty good. Donato's Clam Bar is a big one in the area. So plenty of different places you can choose from. This is just what's showing up. If you zoom in more, I'm sure a bunch of other places also come up too. Cheesesteak Louise, if you're looking for some good food there. If you're having a night out, want to go back there, that's not a bad idea at all. Um, and then again, you head over into the Toms River area, right? You'll have plenty of different options over here as well. And then just up and down the shore too. So New Jersey itself, guys, if you aren't from around the area and you're looking to move here, if you're out of state, the restaurant game is on point. I would say we're better than a lot of other big states that get credit, like New York City and California. A lot of these small restaurants or small business restaurants have to be so good at what they do because there's so many around that you got to be top notch and be able to compete with the other ones. So, yeah, you will not go hungry here in New Jersey. I promise you that. From anything from pizza to Italian, steak, seafood, you're gonna have it all here, and it's phenomenal cuisine all the way around. So you can go drive a half an hour in any direction, go find a really good place that you haven't tried before, and probably be satisfied too. So that's going to go for the shopping and dining. Entertainment wise, we kind of mentioned before, but guys, the biggest thing, point blank, it's going to be the Seaside Heights Boardwalk, amusement, the beach, everything over here, right? This is going to be the main location of everything from the rides, the boardwalk games, arcade, and then just hang out in the sun if you want to enjoy the weather, a nice weather there too. So, that's going to be the majority of the stuff that you're going to be wanting to do in Seaside Heights, whether you're renting out a place for the week, you're living there full time, like we're talking about right now. But it doesn't mean you're just stuck there too, right? A little bit farther to the south, if you're more of an outdoorsy person, Island Beach State Park, right? You're gonna have plenty of different land over here to go hang out at. If you want to go a little bit further south and go to the uh, Barnegat Lighthouse, that's also possible. You won't be able to get there from here, not to my knowledge, right? Yeah, I don't think definitely can't drive that. I don't know if they have any boat or anything to get over there, but you have to go out back towards the Garden State Parkway, Route 9, and bring that down south. So that's an option. If you want to just hang out in Toms River, Caddis Island State County Park. So plenty of different things, whether you want to do outdoor, go for a hike, plenty of different water sports, obviously. If you're going to be living near the beach, right? So jet skiing and other things like that. That's going to be possible. Boating, fishing, obviously, you can throw those in there. Golf's always a big one here in New Jersey. There's so many good courses in Ocean and Monmouth County, plenty of them. So you can go check that out. So a lot of different things that you can do outdoors here in just Seaside Heights, or again, within 20, 30 minutes of the area, you're probably going to be able to find something you want to do, right? And then there's typically like a lot of towns will have something like maybe an escape room. You'll have like those sky trampoline zones and anything like along those. So, pretty much, if you're looking to move to the area, I think it's a really good spot to be, especially if you want to be close to the beach for a decent price as well. But so if you're looking to move to Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, or just the Central Jersey area in general, feel free to reach out. All my contact information is going to be down low in the comments and description. So whether you're 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, guys, even a year out, it doesn't matter to me. Let's just get you on the right path with your real estate goals. If you're looking to move to a different part of the Central Jersey area, check out 2 videos popping up, and hopefully I'll help you out a bit too. Have a great day.